Have you ever wondered why the kindest, most loyal, most giving men often get treated the worst? The ones who show up, the ones who listen, the ones who put her first. It's almost like the more you care, the easier it is for her to disappear. Like your goodness is a switch she turns off when she gets bored. And you sit there wondering what you did wrong, when the truth is, you were never wrong. You were just never dangerous. Let me tell you something most people won't admit. Kindness without boundaries invites exploitation. And in modern dating, exploitation doesn't look like what you think. It looks like being strung along. It looks like breadcrumb texts when she's bored. It looks like her crying in your arms about another man and you thinking this means you're winning her trust. No, you're not. You're just the safe box she stores her insecurities in. Imagine this. You're texting her every morning. You remember her favorite coffee, her dog's name, the way she likes her eggs. You think you're building something, but she never texts first, never makes plans. And when you finally ask why she seems distant, she hits you with, "You're just such a good friend." That line, that's the funeral bell of your illusion. You gave your time, your emotional energy, your attention, not realizing that attention is currency, and you were spending it like it was worthless. Women don't fall for men who offer everything up front. They fall for men who make them work for the story, for the mystery, for the mirror. When you give without tension, without edge, without boundaries, she loses the part of herself that craves, because craving only exists when something is just out of reach. And here's the trap you think being different from those other guys, the cold ones, the distant ones. The players will make her stay, but you don't realize that in trying to be the cure, you've become the comfort, and comfort is not compelling. A man who overextends emotionally early on sends one clear message: I value you more than I value myself. And once that signal is out there, the game is already lost. You'll start noticing the shift. Her replies get slower. Her laughter fades. The conversations lose heat. But you hang on tighter, thinking if you just try a little harder, take her out again, compliment her more, show her how serious you are, she'll turn around. She won't, because she's already made up her mind. And here's where most good men collapse. They take it personally. They internalize the rejection as a sign that something is wrong with them. So they try to become even more agreeable, even more generous, not realizing that this is the exact behavior that got them ignored in the first place. If a man is always available, always giving, always understanding, he becomes emotionally invisible, not because he lacks value, but because he shows it too easily. You want to flip the dynamic start by holding back, not as a game, not as manipulation, but as clarity. Don't text her first every time. Don't offer plans unless she shows interest. Don't keep giving energy into silence. Let her feel your absence. Let her sit in the space where your attention used to be. That space is where respect grows or dies. And if it dies, let it die. Stop trying to revive what was never alive to begin with. Your time is not a gift to be thrown on the table like a free sample. It's a weapon. It's leverage. It's the one thing you can never get back, and she knows it. You'll know she values you not when she accepts your affection, but when she reciprocates it, when she reaches out, when she plans something, when she asks how you are. That's when you engage. That's when you give more. Anything less is you performing for someone who doesn't clap. Some women use good men not because they're evil, but because they can. Because no one taught you where to draw the line. Because no one told you that love without boundaries isn't love. It's desperation wrapped in kindness. And desperation doesn't attract. It repels. So here's your move. Next time you feel that urge to prove yourself to a woman, stop. Ask yourself, has she earned this version of me? Has she shown up for me the way I'm about to show up her? If the answer is no, then don't. Pull back. Observe. Recenter. The man who can walk away owns the room. The man who doesn't fear silence controls the conversation. And the man who knows his worth doesn't need to ask for attention. It follows him. You've given enough. It's time to let her give back or let her go. Have you ever done this and didn't realize it pushed her away? Tell me what happened. What's the hardest thing you've faced when trying to keep a woman interested? Drop your story below. Which mistake do you see yourself making the most? Be honest in the comments. You probably didn't see it at first. It started small. The little jokes she made at your expense in front of others and you laughed along, thinking it was harmless. The time she went cold for a day or two. No explanation, just gone. And when she came back, you welcomed her like nothing happened, because you were just glad she didn't leave for good. That's how it begins, not with betrayal, but with your silence. See, what most men don't understand is that women don't test your kindness. They test your strength, your boundaries, your self-respect. They push to see if the man they're with can stand alone, not because they want to destroy you, but because they need to know, will you still be a man when the pressure comes? And you thought if you were softer, more forgiving, more understanding, you'd win her heart. But what you really taught her was that she could cross any line, and you'd redraw it to keep her close. Let's take a common scenario. You're dating her, things are good. Then suddenly, she starts bringing up her ex. Not once, not in passing, but again and again. He used to do this. He never did that. It's weird how you remind me of him. At first, you nod. You think it's a compliment. You think, I'm not like him. I'll do better. But what she's doing isn't reminiscing. It's comparative control. She's making you compete with a ghost. Now here's the crucial moment, and most men miss it. This is where you're supposed to pull back. Not argue, not explain, not ask what he had that you don't. Just cold silence, a shift in energy. But what do most men do? They try harder. They buy the dinner. They text first. They reassure her that they're not like the other guy. And that's when she knows you'll fight a dead man for her approval. You've already lost. You see the same thing when she withholds affection, when she gets cold right after an amazing night together, when she pulls back just when you thought you were getting close, and you spiral. You wonder, did I say something wrong? Did I go too fast? Should I text again? You should observe, because that shift wasn't random. It was strategic. Whether she knows it consciously or not, she's recalibrating the control. She wants to see if your world tips when she leans away. And if it does, if you chase, if you beg, if you offer more, you're not her equal. You're her follower. You have to stop confusing closeness with submission. Stop mistaking effort for effectiveness. You want to know what actually makes her respect you. Indifference in the face of her emotional chaos. When she's moody and pulling away and you stay still. When she's playing hot and cold and you don't flinch. When she gives you crumbs and you don't chase the next meal. That's power. That's scarcity. That's what makes her wonder. You become attractive not when you prove you're worthy of her, but when you make her question if she's worthy of you. Let me give you a real example. A man I knew, call him Mark, was seeing a woman who liked to disappear for a day or two after deep conversations. She'd pull close, share something vulnerable, then go cold. For months, he chased that pattern, reassured her, checked in, walked on eggshells. Then one day, he stopped after another vanishing act. He didn't call, didn't text, didn't reach out for days. She came back in a panic. Are you mad at me? Did something happen? He said one sentence: "I don't reward emotional inconsistency." She never disappeared again, not because he was mean, not because he threatened her, but because he finally showed her, you don't get access to me when you're not steady. You want to shift the power in your relationship. Start showing her what happens when she disrespects your emotional space, not by yelling, not by pleading, but by vanishing into stillness. Your silence will scream louder than any argument ever could. It's not about playing games, it's about removing yourself from ones you didn't sign up for. So here's your tactic when she starts using distance, comparison, or mood swings to gain control. Don't react. Detach. Go quiet. Go internal. Let her feel the absence. Let her come to you. If she doesn't, she was never coming at all. Don't be the man who keeps knocking on a locked door because he once got a kiss through the crack. Be the man who builds his own house and only opens the door to those who knock with consistency. Have you ever ignored your gut when she started pulling away? What happened? When was the last time you gave more when you should have pulled back? Have you ever stayed too long trying to prove your worth? Be honest in the comments. Let's talk about the cost, not in money, not in time, but in you. Every time you ignore your instincts for a woman who's inconsistent, you pay with your identity. You begin to reshape yourself into someone who hopes, who waits, who tolerates. You become someone you never intended to be, a man who gets quiet when she gets cold, who smiles when he's disrespected, who gives more when he's getting less. And slowly, without realizing it, you disappear. You become the version of yourself she can use, not the man she was once drawn to. See, women don't use strong men, they test them, but they use men who lack internal gravity, who float, who say yes just to keep the peace, who respond to neglect with affection, who meet disrespect with apology. Let me tell you the truth most men avoid. The more you act like she's the prize, the more you become her pawn. Because when a woman knows you'll always be there no matter how little she gives, how many times she cancels, how often she goes cold, she has no reason to invest. She already won. The game is over. And that's the trap. You think if you love harder, give more, stay patient, she'll wake up and appreciate it. But women don't wake up to emotional overinvestment. They drift from it because it removes the tension, the polarity, the sense that she's with a man who could walk away at any moment and still be fine. A man who stays too long in disrespect doesn't gain love. He loses respect. She may keep you around, but not as a man, as a convenience, as a buffer, as emotional insurance for when the real object of her desire vanishes. You want proof? Look at how quickly some women replace you after dragging their feet for months. She couldn't figure things out with you, but suddenly she's in a full relationship with the guy she met 2 weeks ago. Why? Because that man didn't beg, he didn't convince, he didn't chase. He pulled her into his world or left her out of it. Women want to feel a man's gravity, not his emotional dependence. I want you to remember something. You train people how to treat you. Every time you accept silence, you train her to go silent. Every time you reward distance with pursuit, you train her to keep pulling back. Every time you ignore your own standards to keep her comfortable, you train her that your boundaries are for sale. And the worst part, you think this is love. You think this is patience. You think you're being loyal. But you're just eroding your self-respect in slow motion. That's why when she finally leaves or ghosts you, you feel empty. Not just because she's gone, but because you gave up pieces of yourself to keep her and she still walked away. So here's the strategic shift. Stop asking, how do I make her stay? Start asking, how do I stay solid when she tests me? Because she will test you. They all do not because they're cruel, but because they want to know what kind of man they're with. A woman's respect isn't earned through effort, it's earned through presence. When she flirts with disrespect, you respond with stillness. When she goes cold, You match her temperature. When she pulls away, you don't chase, you watch. You give her space not to lure her back, but because you're fine either way. You've got to be the man who's not afraid to be alone, the man who can sit in silence and not break, because that's the man she can't control. You're not a dog begging for treats. You're not a fan in the front row. You are the stage, and she has to earn the invitation. Let me give you a story. There was a guy, Leo, quiet, grounded, successful. He met a woman who loved attention, always surrounded by men, always on her phone, always keeping him in a state of emotional hunger. At first, Leo gave her everything, compliments, dinners, weekends away. But nothing changed. She stayed distant. Then one day, he stopped, cold. No explanation, no fight, just a calm disappearance. A week later, she called. "Why are you acting different?" He said, "Because I finally saw what I refused to see. You don't want me. You want access to me." She said nothing. He didn't wait. He hung up. That silence. That wasn't weakness. That was a man stepping back into power, because no woman respects a man who's afraid to walk away. But they remember the ones who do for the rest of their lives. So ask yourself, what are you afraid to lose? Her body, her attention, her approval. None of it is worth your peace. Have you ever stayed with a woman who didn't really see you? What was the moment you knew? When did you last feel yourself shrinking just to keep someone interested? Which part of you needs to come back before you try to give again? Now you've seen it, the patterns, the games, the control hidden behind smiles and silence. But here's the final truth that cuts deeper than anything else she didn't break you. You broke yourself by refusing to stop giving when you were already empty. Because you thought being a good man meant being selfless, meant sacrificing, meant enduring mood swings, emotional distance, disrespect, and still standing there with open arms. But let's be honest, most women don't use bad men. They avoid them. They don't open up. They don't trust. They fear them. Who do they use? Men who give everything without demand. Men who ignore red flags in the name of love. Men who say, "It's okay. I understand," when they should be saying, "That doesn't work for me." And if that's you, if you've been that man, you don't need shame. You need clarity, because now you see it. Every time she delayed the date, every time she flirted with someone else in front of you, every time she pulled away and returned only when she was ready and you said nothing, that wasn't love. That was training, and you played your part. But here's what changes everything the moment you stop needing her validation. The whole dynamic collapses. The emotional control stops working when you stop responding. Women can't use what they can't control. They can't manipulate what they can't predict. And they can't drain a man who knows how to stay full by himself. You want to know the strongest move you can make in any relationship? Stop fearing her loss. Start fearing your own self-betrayal. Because the moment you tolerate what goes against your values, you are no longer the man she respected if she ever did. You're just another provider of comfort, attention, and emotional labor until someone with more tension shows up and reminds her what it feels like to chase. And yes, some women will leave the moment you stop overgiving. That's how you know who they really were. Not partners, not lovers, just opportunists looking for the path of least resistance. They don't want your soul. They want your energy until it runs out. So what do you do when you see the pattern? You don't rage, you don't beg, you don't argue, you withdraw, calmly, quietly, powerfully. You leave her with her own silence. You give her space to feel what it's like without your attention, not as punishment but as truth. Because a woman who values you will notice the shift. She will adjust, she will reach out, she will ask, "What's wrong?" And a woman who only used you, she will replace you quickly, Let her. She never deserved the version of you she didn't work for. You don't exist to make her feel loved at the cost of your own emptiness. You exist to build something shared, and if she can't meet you halfway, she doesn't belong on the path. Now, here's the final strategy. Learn to sit in the discomfort of disconnection. Learn to enjoy your own stillness more than her inconsistent affection. Learn to value your time, your energy, your presence as the most valuable currency in the world. You don't need to yell to be strong. You don't need to prove anything. Just stop showing up for people who stop showing up for you. Imagine her texting, wondering why you haven't called. Picture her staring at the screen, confused why you didn't double text, why you didn't show up with flowers, why you didn't beg for closure. And you're fine. You're in your world. Your silence has become your shield. That's what makes a man dangerous. Not aggression, not control, but emotional self-possession. Because when a woman meets a man who doesn't need her and still chooses her, that's when she begins to give. That's when she learns to show up. That's when the dynamic shifts from usage to respect. So let me ask you this. Have you ever let go too late and paid the price? Have you ever stayed silent when your soul was screaming to leave? When was the last time you chose peace over attention? If you're ready for the final truth, the one that will change how you carry yourself for the rest of your life, then let's finish this. There's a moment, and you'll feel it if you haven't already, where something inside you just shifts. Not in anger, not in grief, but in a quiet, permanent refusal. A refusal to chase people who don't care. A refusal to explain your worth. A refusal to bleed for someone who never brought a bandage. This is the moment you stop being used, not because she changed, but because you did. Because now you understand love without boundaries is slavery with a smile. She'll call you kind, generous, even rare, while slowly eroding your strength under the mask of praise. She'll say, "I don't deserve you," and you'll take it as a compliment. But it's not. It's a warning. Because people who truly value something fight to keep it. They don't toss it in the corner and pick it up only when convenient. And that's what too many men have become: convenient, emotionally available on command. Always one text away from offering everything. Always hoping this time she'll finally see it. But here's what she will see and remember: the moment you said, "No more." The moment you didn't respond. The moment your silence meant something because you had finally chosen yourself. You don't need to be cold. You don't need to become a villain. But you do need to stop making her the sun around which your identity orbits. You are not here to earn your place in someone else's life. You are the place. And if a woman cannot meet your standard emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, you don't bend it. You stand it taller. The tragedy is not that she used you. The tragedy is how long you knew and did nothing. You saw the signs, the delayed replies, the mood swings, the hot and cold routine, the guilt tripping when you finally spoke up, the subtle digs at your masculinity, your ambition, your sensitivity. You saw it all and you kept giving, not because you were weak, but because no one taught you how to stop. Because you thought being a man meant proving yourself through loyalty and sacrifice. But that's not manhood, that's emotional servitude. True masculinity is restraint. It's control. It's power withheld until someone proves they deserve it. It's the ability to walk into silence and not crumble. She used you because she could, and she'll use the next man who doesn't know better, but not you, not anymore. Because now you see the difference between effort and self-erasure. Now you feel the power of not replying. Now you understand the strength in letting someone miss you, not as a tactic, not as revenge, but because you have better things to do than audition for a role in someone else's play. You are not the support act. You are not the backup plan. You are not the free therapist. You are the main character in your own story. And if a woman wants access to your time, your energy, your presence, she will have to earn it. With consistency, with effort, with respect. And if she doesn't, you don't complain, you don't fight, you don't beg. You leave. You leave not as a victim, but as a man who finally understands her absence is not your wound. It's your freedom. You were never too nice. You were never too soft. You just didn't know your value yet. But now you do. So from this day forward, carry this in your silence. She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.